Okay, we got a few more people that are still coming in, but I'm going to go ahead and get started. If everything works out right on this session will actually be recorded, and Stephanie will send it to you. I have Stephanie, who keeps us all in track here online, lurking in the background, as well as Paul Esch. In case something goes awry here, he can take over the presentation. But I think we're going to be okay. What I want to do is I'm just going to walk you through a few slides. Again, this is the same presentation that I would give to somebody that didn't know anything about TSANet. And these are really popular webinars, and we get quite a bit of, yeah, I've heard of TSANet, but I don't really know what it is. And so I want to walk through and talk a little bit about the foundation of what this is, and then we're really just going to dig into how you use it. I think you're going to find this to be a very simple concept, but a very important one. And as we dig into more of the metrics that we're doing within the organization itself, we're actually seeing quite a bit of data regarding how many collaborations really take place, and then getting into a little bit of the detail of what happens with those. And we're finding out that customers don't like to be finger pointed around, and that's what this is going to solve. So let me walk you through a few introduction slides here. And I start out any presentation on TSANet by saying, you know, this is an organization. This is your organization. We were founded as a not-for-profit back in 1993, and we're up to over 750 members now, which is the highest we've ever been. We'll talk about the different types of memberships and things like that. But the whole point of this, and the reason that we have the organization, is to establish a collaboration mechanism between our members. And that's been our core benefit. It's been our core offering to the industry. I think what's different about this, as opposed to a service coming in or a company coming in and trying to sell you a service, this is a membership type thing, and it's also member driven. So everything that you're going to see here is something that the members actually told us this is what you want. And Paul and I both report to a board of directors that's elected by the members. So that kind of keeps us on track as the not-for-profit mechanism of it. But again, I think the key thing to all this is it's your organization, and it's run by the members as well. There's a small staff, and we just kind of keep things going. If I was to take probably the three key points of the organization, one is we're a not-for-profit, which I've mentioned, and we're focused on this multi-vendor support mechanism. Now, we've expanded that over the years, and you're going to see there's all sorts of different things. You can really consider this to be a relationship infrastructure. They can do a lot of different things with. The other key thing that we did, and some of you, this is really going to resonate with you, is we got all the big companies' lawyers to agree to a common set of verbiage of how you're going to handle confidential information, things like that. Everybody signs the same code of conduct is what that boils into. And where you have a lot of flexibility in creating relationships and doing different things with relationships, everybody is still on the same legal platform. We don't allow any changes to it. That makes it really easy to create these relationships, and it keeps a lot of the lawyers out of the loop because we don't allow changes anyway. So you'll see it's a pretty simple thing. We call it a code of conduct. Every member company signs the same code of conduct. And then what we're really going to focus in on here, the better part of this presentation, is actually how you use it. And we've created a tactical interface that everybody uses to be able to collaborate. And you're going to see what this really is a method to be able to submit a support request, acknowledge that request, and then TSANet stepping out of the process. We'll talk about that a little bit. This is kind of the what it's all about, right? The whole point here is to not finger point or not put customers in the middle of this process. What we've seen over the years is that when customers get caught in the middle and they're told by one company to do one thing and told by another company it's their problem and not this problem and that kind of thing, they get very frustrated by it. So where TSANet is not a high volume mechanism, it never has been. This is a mechanism for you to be able to establish that collaboration path with another member company, be able to isolate and or resolve that issue, and work with that other company and not put the customer in the middle of it. That's the whole point of the organization and how this works. So this is the membership slide. I think this is important to understand what level of member. I looked at the attendee list that's on this call today, and we've got a mix of what we call open group members, as well as some limited members as well. a lot of companies, when they joined into TSANet, they'll join as what we call a basic or a premium member. And that's what you see on the left-hand side of the equation over here. We call that open groups. And there's over 90 companies, almost 100 companies that are in the open group of basic and premium. And what that is just a large ecosystem that allows a collaboration mechanism with everybody that's in that ecosystem. But when you get a large group of companies like that, you're never going to get everybody to join in unless you put some kind of parameters and rules around it, because people get a little, you're going to have your competitors in there as well as your partners. So what we say in the open group environment, that there is no obligation for any member company to collaborate with another member company unless it's one of their customers. So you would get that phone call one way or another. It's just that through TSANet, what's happening is that you're getting that collaboration request from another member company that your customer called first. So the call volume doesn't go up. You don't really need to worry about that, because again, you would get the call one way or another. But the big open group environment, what we found is member companies will join into that because it establishes a mechanism with a bunch of different companies at the same time. And you don't have to go out and do the one-off relationships with everybody. The premium membership is actually a subset of the basic membership. And what that does is that raises the bar that says that I'm obligated to work with another member company if that customer has a premium level of membership with me. So what that premium is it raises the bar for the SLAs, 2 hours in a P1, 4 hours in a P2, next business day in a P3. And the basic members is just a next business day relationship. We'll talk a little bit about that, but I wanted you to understand the difference between open groups. And then on the right hand side over here is our members came back to us and said, what I really like to do is the open group thing solves most of my problems for me, but I've got a strategic relationship or I've got a partner program, and I want to be able to pull in certain members and invite them into my relationship that's a little bit different from the open group. So what we do is we give our members that are in the open group environment the ability to create their own relationships and pull those partners in that they want to be part of that relationship. And that really can take forms of solution support groups. It can be partner programs. There can be a whole different array of relationships that we actually have that are what we call custom groups. And some of the members that are on this call today were invited in by examples that I can talk about would be like a VMware or a Nutanix or Microsoft or Cisco. What they've done is they said, I just need to establish that collaboration mechanism with my partners. And this is a really easy way to do it. So I create my own program. I only have a one-to-one relationship with that host company. And in some cases, not all cases, but in some cases, the host company even pays for the membership. So there's not even a cost involved in it. So it's a really easy way to establish that mechanism with your partners, and it works out quite well. We've got multiple companies in there that are what we call limited members. And that just means that they have a one-to-one relationship with a host partner. They actually may have multiple one-to-one relationships. So I want to now kind of focus in on how calls are done. And this is kind of the overview slide of the TSANet Connect process. And again, this is something I could go back into the history of this, where we tried something that was a lot more robust, and what we found, it was just too much of a heavy lift for our customers because it was almost a separate CRM system. And what you're going to find with TSANet Connect is that it's a mechanism for you to submit a support request, acknowledge that support request. We're going to capture the companies that are making the request and receiving the request. We're going to capture the ticket numbers on both sides, and then we're out of the whole process. You're going to track that within your own CRM system and using your own support processes. So what that does from a TSANet perspective is it establishes that two endpoints. So now we know, yep, we want these two endpoints to collaborate with each other, and we can get you some metrics because you can marry up that data with your internal support processes and systems. But then we're stepping out of it. It keeps us out of GDPR stuff, keeps us out of data privacy protection stuff, because we're not capturing any of that. We're only capturing that there was a mechanism requested, a mechanism acknowledged, and I'll walk you through that process. And the other thing that I will tell you is that some companies, and the volume hasn't justified doing a lot of API integration, and we haven't really had a lot of companies do some really serious API integration. It just hasn't, the volume hasn't justified it, but we have had about half of our members in the open group environment tie this into their CRM system using the simple native code that's built into a Salesforce that is email to case type of stuff. And we'll show you how custom fields can be done and things like that. So it can be done a little bit more robust if you want to do that. But we also find that a lot of companies will start out when they're doing this and they'll just create a little DL with a small group of members that can be able to look at these cases, acknowledge them, and then we'll be able to take care of these cases without going through a lot of heavy integration. So let me walk you through this a little bit. It's an email type form-based system. And this is kind of the step-by-step process of how that works. So what you'll find is every person on this call that's a member, they're going to have their own landing page. And what they'll do is they'll come into that landing page and they'll come into a directory. Now, based on the level of member that you are, whether you're a basic, premium, or if you're a limited member, is going to depend on the companies that you'll be able to collaborate with, right? And in some cases, what you'll see is all the members coming up here, but it'll say you don't have a relationship with them. And that means that they're a member of TSANet, but they're either a limited member in a relationship that you're not part of, or they're not an open group member. It is very easy for us to establish that one-to-one relationship, and that's just a matter of filling out a form, and then we're sent an email, and then we can dig in and go to the partner and say, hey, this is all you have to do to set this relationship up with this other company, and we do that all the time. But what you're going to see here is a directory that comes in. You'll see the partners. The engineers will be able to pick out their favorites and that kind of thing if they want to do that with the companies they collaborate with the most. And then this is the basic form that will come up. Over on the left-hand side here, it's going to pre-populate on this side over here with the engineer's information, right? And then it will come down. And again, I'm going to go back to this is a way for you to submit a support request, and then we'll talk about that acknowledgement, and that's all you're doing here. So you put in the problem information down here, just needs to be enough for that member company that's receiving the request to understand what this is all about, maybe direct that call to where it needs to go within their support center. So it's not a place where you'd put any large log files or anything like that. That's going to be done within your own systems and within your own processes after that's been established. Over on the right-hand side, you're going to put in information about that customer because, again, there needs to be a mutual customer involved in this. And then you would select the priority of that call based on the TSANet relationship that you're in, and then you would submit that support request on. Now, in some cases, and I'll give you, if everything works right here, I'll show you a real example. Some companies have requested we put in custom fields. So they may request product information, or they might request a serial number, something like that helps that entitlement process streamline that and go a little bit quicker. So you see that in some cases, not all. This is the standard form here. And then the engineer that has actually created that ticket and sent that on is going to get an email back that says, okay, this is a summary of the call, right? This is what I captured that you requested to this other company. And they will also get back some escalation instructions that if the company that you sent the request to doesn't acknowledge the ticket, or at a later time, if you feel like that case needs to be escalated, these are the instructions that you will get to escalate a call to that company. And that'll be in the email that goes back to the engineer that submitted that request. So if I flip this around the other way, now I'm on the receiving end of this. Again, it could come into a CRM system and then through a process is sent to a certain group of people, or everybody knows that all these calls are coming in from connect@tsanet.org. They're not coming in from anywhere else. They don't have to be credentialed into the system, be able to respond back to it, but through some mechanism or another, this email is going to flow in and they're going to need to respond back to that company. And what they'll do is just simply click on this button that says respond to whatever that company is. And here is all the information that comes in this formatted email that says, here's the request, support request that came in. And so when they click on that respond to whatever company, they're going to get this back, and it's going to come in, and it's going to say, okay, now here is my case number. Here's the engineer that's going to work the case, and this could very well be it's unassigned at this stage, but something needs to go in here. And then over here in the notes section is where you would put in, this is how I want to collaborate with you. I'm going to want you to call me. We're going to open up a Slack channel. However it is that you want to collaborate with this company, you will then tell that company how you're going to collaborate. Because again, remember, once this is submitted back to that engineer and they get that information, TSANet is stepping out of the process. We've captured, again, both case numbers on both sides. You guys are connected. We're out of it, right? And then you're going to follow your own business processes using your own methods of how we're ever going to do that. And we're getting into perhaps confidential information, right? We're taking that information, the mutual customer, we're not even keeping that. We're deleting that out of our system. So we don't even keep that. I think this is the stage where I want to go in and do a quick demo if I can get this to work right. So let me see if I can make this work. Anyway, here is the point, right? This is the directory, and I logged in as test company. I'm going to go ahead and pick VMware to collaborate with. And what I wanted to show you is what's going to come up here is it's going to pre-populate my information here, right? And this is where I would put in if I was going to collaborate with VMware. The customer called me first, so I already have a case open. I put in my test or my case number in here, a brief problem information. This is what I wanted to show you. So in VMware's case, they wanted to capture what the product was. So what we did was we created some custom fields for them where we can put in a product. And then they want a version, a build number down here. If you're an open group member, we can create these custom fields for you, right? And then over here would be where I'd put in the mutual customer information. If we found out that that customer already had a case open, then they could put in the VMware case number, and then that would flow into VMware, and they would be able to see, this is exactly what I need to do, and this is the engineer I need to send this ticket off to. And then again, the priority is going to be based on whatever the sender wants to do, but it's based on the TSANet relationship, right? So again, in this case, test company is a premium member, so I have the options to put in priority 1, 2, and 3. If I'm a basic member, I wouldn't see that. Custom groups can be customized a little bit differently. And again, the thing about the priorities is, again, what the priority is the acknowledgement of that ticket. What you're going to do is the receiver on that is going to look at that data coming across and look at who that customer is, and they're going to respond back to the TSANet within the time frame that's been requested. But the response is going to be, this is how we're going to collaborate, and that's likely going to be based on the entitlement level of the mutual customer. So again, there's no obligation beyond what the customer is entitled to. There's an obligation on your part as a member to acknowledge that ticket within the SLA. And then we also established collaboration paths that automatically take place where emails are sent to escalation managers. TSANet becomes involved in it. If that ticket is not acknowledged within the time frame, we can see that. So as an organization, we go back and say, hey, why didn't you acknowledge this ticket? And it could be in some cases, yeah, I responded to the ticket, but I forgot to just acknowledge that within the TSANet system. So again, for open group members, and really even for limited members, if you want to talk about how you can customize this a little bit more, what you can do with your CRM system. Then another big thing that we're working on now that we've got some companies on now and we're working on more is single sign-on. So if single sign-on would be a lot more streamlined path for you to be able to collaborate with your partners, we can help you with that as well. So that's all I wanted to show you with this. I can make an attempt here to go back to my slides and see if I can get that to work. Let's see. I think in order to do that, I'm going to maybe stop sharing and go back to my PowerPoint. I'm really at the end of the presentation here, so. Okay, so we did the demo, and this is really, this is the membership levels. If you didn't know anything about, almost everybody on this call is already a member, but but the different membership levels, and you talk about that if you're a limited member thinking about upgrading into an open group, we'd be more than happy to talk to you about it. We're not talking about lots of money here. It's always been, but this is how we're funded, right? Is by membership dues. And there's all sorts of information out on the TSANet website. I really invite you to go out and go to tsanet.org and take a look at that. I also would invite you to get a hold of myself or Paul or any of us on the TSANet staff if you want more information. How you can, a lot of people right now are creating their own custom groups and using this as the preferred mechanism to be able to create this collaboration path and now use it. And again, we're now at a point with TSANet Connect, we can start to get a lot of metrics out of this. And then you can even go further with that to pull out some metrics and with your partners. So Paul, do we have any questions or anybody submitted anything? Or
the only question we had, which I'm publishing as an announcement, was that we will share both the slides and the recording of this, so you get both. And
then we're going to take that big gaff out where I couldn't get the slides to work, right?
Yeah. Actually, pretty impressive. Only one.
There we go. Folks, I don't have anything else. Thank you so much for joining us here today. Hope now you know what TSANet is all about. It's a pretty simple concept. We're here to serve our members. So again, don't hesitate to get a hold of us. So thanks everybody for joining us, and take care.